I thought you were going to say it's going to Hollywood because it's going to be a spectacle or something. I mean, what you said also makes sense.
I mean, it could also be that.
Yours was actual analysis. Mine was just buffer, really. But this is going to be Cyclone coupling, just having a think in the base. Okay, now they're committing. Or not.
Lee Chang Soon on the Mercy with Sleep on the DPS is different.
We do
give you that.
Do have a pause coming out here. I don't know that the hero pick is necessarily anything to do with that, but I mean, hey, who knows? That's, you know.
I mean, you thought here maybe, okay, Sleep then changes onto the support and Lee Chang Soon goes on the DPS, but then Sleep goes on to McCree, like, okay.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe it's like Lee Chang Soon
just
like hovering on the Mercy just to be silly and then disconnected.
What if, like, no, but is there a world where this is a real strategy where secretly Sleep is a great DPS player and they're thinking, look,
Sleep.
Last map, last opportunity, give it your all. Like any secrets, anything left you got to play with, throw it out there, put it all on the table.
Might as well, right? Like maybe. That's an interesting thing actually with 222 lock for what it's worth. Like when we say secret strat now, like it's a very different thing. It used to mean like, quintuple DPS or like, I don't know, it could mean a lot of things, right? But now it's like, okay, who's got a pick that people aren't going to be expecting? And the breadth of possibility there is that much more narrow now.
I also think it comes down to specific players being on good on
It's actually not even
heroes.
McCree, it's Lee Chang Soon's Mercy.
Yeah. Battle
that's
Mercy.
That's how they get the workaround of 222 lock, is it's actually triple DPS with a Battle Mercy.
Yeah, well, you play Battle Moira and Battle Mercy. That's how it happens on the ladder, isn't it? So that's what happens in ranked games. Support's only a Q support, so they can play damage support. No, but like, you're probably not going to see that happen in this particular game. I do expect those two players to be swapping again. But I think there's still a lot of room for other strategies. I mean, we've seen a decent amount of variety of composition so far. Yeah, Orisa Hog is going to be a predominant one, but outside of that, we've seen Diva Winston. We've seen, even on the DPS side of things, a variety. We've seen the Sombras, we've seen Tracers, we've seen straight dive Tracer Genjis, seen double sniper, we've seen one sniper and something else. You know, there has been. We saw a Junkrat today. That was a little weird, but it's been there. We've had enough of DPSs at least getting their pick and getting their fills. Now all is right in the world. Asleep and Lee Chang Soon do swap onto the appropriate heroes.
It's looking like it's going to make a lot more sense here. I do like TOT on the Pharah, obviously. We have to see how long Global Esports can just kind of hole up here for, because with that Immortality field gone, they do have to start moving away from these open sight lines where TOT can benefit.
And the Pharah is a great pick because Global Esports, first of all, they were playing right in the open on the high ground. No one can really deal with Pharah comfortably. Yes, Lil Ranks and Kim Gutang can fire shots into the air, but you're not playing Widowmaker yet. Cyclone coupling are going to abuse that fact. They're going to push in with the extra air support.
The reality is their best bet is maybe picking off some of the other members or waiting until Cyclone coupling commit to the point and killing members on the grounds. That there being one such example, and that's a really big one. It does get raised by recall, but part of the team's already sort of hovering back here a little bit, and Cyclone coupling still taking a lot of spam, have yet to really make the approach to the point.
That's a super awkward position to have an amplification matrix, and it does mean that Cyclone coupling can back out. However, Fallen was already caught in the middle of nowhere. So he will go down. That's the one member you're not going to get back up anytime soon.
TOT doing a little bit of a flyover, seeing if he can get a little bit aggressive, but does not. And actually commits a rocket barrage off to the side there. That was a little bit wacky for a second.
Thought he had an angle on Xenofly, but Xenofly just kind of casually walks away into the cafe and hides underneath the structure, but Kim Gutay can't quite hide.
It's a really big one, actually. Eliminates the Blizzard. That was one of the big area control tools that Global Esports would have on the point as Cyclone coupling make this push happen. Xenofly gets demexed as well. Transcendent's going to come through as well as Dragon Strike. They're just sort of trying to dive on whatever they might still be able to use, but with the nano boost on TOT, the damage output is now significantly higher than it was a half second ago, and with that, the kills start to fall even further in favor of Cyclone coupling, who are already gaining progress on the points.
Global Esports going to throw all the ults in there, though. They are going to use Supercharger and Blizzard, and they are going to get trades as well, so kind of been worth it so far.
Wow.
With TOT going down, this is going to be a whole Cyclone coupling backing off.
And that was Kim Gutay. That was the first member to die. The fight went on long enough that Kim Gutay came back in, threw down the Blizzard, and that ended up being enough. Luke didn't end up dying there.
Stagger onto MG as well. That's going to be costly, especially when you got less than a minute remaining. You're now waiting for an additional member. Cyclone coupling, if there was ever going to be a push, that was probably it.
Yeah.
65.8 as well. You were so close to getting 2 ticks. That's going to be a heartbreaker as Global Esports now looking pretty comfortable.
I mean, hell, you were so close to getting the whole thing, right? If you got the right kills, if you'd maybe killed off Luke or something, no supercharger, no one to take advantage of the frozen members in the Blizzard. A lot of things would have played out very differently, but at the end of the day, Cyclone coupling now have to go in for their last-ditch effort.
And you want to see a better rocket barrage this time. No weird angles that don't catch anybody. Trying to get in.
The amplification matrix does end up getting committed here. Rocket barrage around the side finds Little Rax. Recalls down though, that's a huge counter trade. Lee Chang-soon as well. Sleep's also super low. And now Solo healing. Self-destruct from MG. Doesn't get anything done. Will at least remech. Cyclone coupling are barely holding on here. Sleep has not been allowed to commit any healing to himself because he needs to be topping up these members. TOT does find Kim Yutei. Now Sleep has been able to commit.
Really is trying his hardest.
They are all in on this play in every sense of the word. They are making a headway in it though. Lee Chang-soon coming back in on the Tracer. They get Xenofly, finish him off. Luke is long since expired as well, so the tank presence is gone. They'll commit the support ultimates, if for no other reason than to maybe buy time for other members to come into the fight here. But this is a point that Cyclone coupling are on top of.
Cyclone coupling all should be capping pretty soon. Kim Yutei will make one more trade happen. They're still throwing more and more ultimates in Global Esports. This is now a bit of a sunk cost fallacy.
It may be, right? They don't... Oh, Little Rax is still in here as well. I was going to say they don't have the members to take advantage of that Blizzard, but Xenofly and Little Rax were there. Not anymore, though. That is going to be the cap here for Cyclone coupling.
TOT, not all heroes wear capes, I guess. Stayed alive.
Somewhere jetpack.
Had the nano boost on him as well. Sleep put it on him just as he was falling down. And Cyclone coupling that didn't even have a mercy. Recall is one of the first members taken. And TOT just had to stay alive, had to keep the damage in. There was flying in and out of people's faces. The last member holding ground on that offense, buying time for the rest of them to come through. And the Madman actually does it. The Madman actually enables Cyclone coupling to get onto B now. There's still not a lot of time to work with, but there is now another opportunity.
That's an opportunity where there was none before. Also, Cyclone coupling going big into dive here. Fallen gets picked off, though, by Little Rax, who's hungry for more. Kim Yutei finds Sleep, and this is already a big and abrupt cease in momentum for Cyclone coupling.
Which is weird, because they have so many ultimates. You expect them to have so much more done here, in terms of how far they can push the cart, in terms of how much extra objective they can get here. And another thing you have to sort of look at is the fact that Faith is on a Brigida. We've noted there have been no Brigida changes so far on this particular patch. She doesn't have her PTR changes yet, so it's going to be rough in terms of actually getting healing output.
I do at least like it, though, as an answer to the dive DPS.
You're only healer.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Like, there is a significant trade-off. I don't know if it's a trade-off that's worth it, especially when Lee Chang-soon and TOT haven't actually been the biggest threat so far.
And I'll be honest, Luke on the Winston does need some pocket healing. Brigida's not going to give that to you.
Yeah.
Xeon Flux is alive, but not quite joining the team just yet, and now you're losing tanks.
Yeah, by the time Xeon Flux is back in, Xenofly is out. Global Esports is still waiting to be at full fighting force here.
Cyclone coupling, if this is not where you make your progress, and I don't know where, they're gonna get a Genji Dragonblade pretty soon. Faith in a bit of trouble.
Getting wrapped around upon. I mean, didn't even have allies behind him on the low ground there. I have no idea why Faith was actually up there realistically. Now Cyclone coupling, that is at least a couple of counter trades, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for Global Esports.
Xeon Flux doesn't use nano either, so it doesn't look like they're really going to be able to hold here. Cyclone coupling. The worst may be over, actually, because this is all bonus time. Consider that we didn't really expect them to even get past A, where that time was, where the position of the game was. But now, we're on C, Nano Blade's available, Faith is down again. I think the sort of decision-making here makes sense. You want to run a Brigida because there is Tracer and Genji. However, they don't have to dive into you. What if they just avoid you the whole time? They don't have to play into your Brigida, and that's basically what happened.
Nice hack on Sleep. They need to actually get something done. There we go. Little Rax finds a bomb. COT goes down, swinging the Dragon Blade, and look, they are operating on borrowed time, but they would have liked to have been able to borrow a little bit more, especially with the ultimates they had available. They decide to double down. They commit the sound barrier. I think that's a mistake. Fallen's going to go down, recall as well, and why not hold on? That wasn't going to be your last fight. You have more time.
What I find ironic is TOT dies when he's in Dragon Blade, because that's when he actually wants to go out as a Genji, and that's where Brigade is actually useful. So Global Esports is going to make that one count, at least for now. And yeah, I do agree with the borrowed time sentiment, because 40 seconds remaining. Cyclone Coupling will be happy with any extra distance they can make in this progression. But for ultimates, you do want to see them make a lot.
They've already got very little value out of the other ones they've committed so far. Lee Chang-soon's already down. Fallen needs to get a lot of work done with this Primal Rage. Sleep as well now. Didn't even get the
EMP available
off. And this has become an unmitigated disaster for Cyclone Coupling, as Little Rax is on absolute fire right now. 10 seconds to go. I don't see Cyclone Coupling doing it.
They're walking straight into Pulse Bomb plus EMP. Faith is going to be standing on that cart, flailing around.
Little Rax, he's got it available, but I mean, half these members are already dead. He's like, guys, I got no targets for my ultimate. Maybe I just toss it out into the middle of nowhere at this point.
Throw it in the ether.
Boom, shakalaka. Doesn't get anything with it, doesn't need to get anything with it. The damage has been well and truly done. This is going to be a last gasp on the payload here for Fallen as the overtime begins to dissipate. And that is going to be where Global Esports complete their stand. Look, you'll compliment Cyclone Coupling for getting that distance when it looked like they weren't even going to cap A, but this is still all kinds of winnable for Global Esports.
And I think if this happens in a time bank where you don't have a lot of time to work with, which is essentially what our last quarterfinal was, that's a lot more impressive. I think you will still think about Cyclone Coupling and the fact that it's going to be competitive in the sense that Global Esports are going to have to push to C, but with the amount of time that you have in regulation time, that should happen. Unless Global Esports run into some razor trouble and they make a whole bunch of mistakes, maybe the A push just takes way too long. That's when Cyclone Coupling can really be looking for a hold. If it doesn't happen on the A point itself, seeing as there's not going to be a lot of time on B, if you take too long on A, might happen on B. If we go to C at all, you probably favor Global Esports to win it all.
And look, I've got to say, it is possible. It is totally plausible here for Cyclone Coupling to do it. They're no slouches. They're not a bad team by any measure. We've seen Lee Chang-soon and TOT really take it to all kinds of opponents. So maybe that still comes out here for Cyclone Coupling. Going to be rolling out on the Junkrat here, though, on the defense. A little bit of an iffy pick, in my opinion.
And this is McCree added in as well. It gives you a little bit of insurance against the possibility of a Pharah.
There's something.
But I think this is the kind of point where not having a Mei is going to be pretty rough. Notice also the Diva on defense instead of the Roadhog. So far it's kind of, this is similar to what you would see on an Anubis A bunker hold. And I guess we already talked about a few of the problems on that particular point with this kind of comp now on this particular meta.
Lee Chang-soon also swapped off the McCree. I do like Lee Chang-soon's Widowmaker, but I also like the McCree's options against dive with the crowd control. Luckily though, Global Esports aren't going to be running that, so it's not really all that big a deal.
I think that the Xenofly on the Diva is going to be very important here because of the extra spam damage coming through from the Junkrat. You want the defensive matrix. Getting caught in the Steel Trap is an unfortunate start for Global Esports, and they have to blow the ice wall super early just to make sure Luke doesn't go down.
It's a really unfortunate cooldown, and this gives TOT time to free fire, continue charging up a Riptire. Faith as well getting brought low, but Fallen's going to be the first casualty as they find an opening, they commit, they make it work. Xenofly eats the sleep.
That 1v1 is so good.
Stays alive, and like you said, Little Rax is even better than a 1v1 because he finds sleep for good measure. And now Cyclone Coupling torn to bits on the point.
There's just simply going to be too much time to work with now. You can see, okay, TOT eventually does get a Riptire, dies straight away. You like him to be able to somehow use that before he goes down, but that's not the world we live in for this particular defense. Now Cyclone Coupling already on the back foot, 5-19 pushing into B. That's all but guaranteed to be a B cap. And again, once we're into C, you don't have to go that far to win.
That is a reasonable early kill, but I'm going to be honest, Xenofly hadn't got back in the mech anyway, wasn't too fussed about that. They're still going to wait for the payload to start moving through the streets anyway, and now Xenofly is back with the team.
And I think TOT needs to find a location, pop the tire in there, then instantly try and respawn on another hero. You do not want to be stuck playing Junkrat, particularly on B point. Even when Junkrat was meta, you didn't want to play him here.
And they're still just getting picked out. That's the thing. They lack the same kind of pick potential, and while they're waiting for members like Lee Chang-soon and TOT to put the damage output there, Global Esports can do that and more. And I mean, now this Riptide comes out, even if it finds value, it's not even enough of a counter trade to actually rescue this fight. So this Junkrat has been a significant amount of dead weight on this defense.
However, Lee Chang-soon, if he picks up enough trades here, can buy the time required for Cyclone Coupling to make the damage happen. I'm not joking when I say a great play would be for TOT to dive on the cart and use his Mayhem passive upon death to try and do something there. He is going to get the respawn now, finally.
At least, but again, I mean, how long has that been now on that dead weight pick here? Cyclone Coupling only just starting to change into something that you feel might actually work on this B defense as the cart is approaching the cap.
We're already in a space where not enough time has been taken off that clock. Blizzard even flown out there. MG unable to prevent it.
It's just no way for the Cyclone Company to get on this. The one ultimate they had was a nano boost. They don't even get to charge much of an ultimate by using it. That's going to be the cap coming through. Global Esports looking like they're going to take it here.
You just don't see a way. Global Esports surely cannot lose this with 5 minutes remaining and not that far to push. I mean, they only have to get barely halfway, like 40% of the way through the C point. Cyclone Coupling, okay, where most teams get this defense rolling on C is closer to the defensive spawn.
Right.
This is nowhere near the defensive spawn.
I was going to say, this is closer to where Global Esports respawn from. That's important because we saw Lee Chang-soon and Little Rex start at similar times. At least Lee Chang-soon can get back to the fight now. And actually, Little Rex is the first casualty.
Big bonade.
It is a decent one. Pulse Bomb tossed out. Doesn't find its mark, but Kim Yu-tae will go down. So Cyclone Coupling, they are going to make a defense happen, at least for now. But man, 4 minutes left to go.
It's a long night, I'll tell you that one. Cyclone Coupling got a few more defenses ahead of them. I say a long night, I'm not just talking about us here, but Cyclone Coupling...
Well, we could nearly be done, so don't know even about that.
Available. Hey, Cyclone Coupling will win. They'll do the reverse sweep. We'll be here forever. EMP available is a big deal. Does catch 4.
Whew, that is a nicely done one, and Fallen does make it count for something as well. This is maybe a bit of an overcommit in ultimates, though. They wanted to be cautious. They committed the Primal Rage and also the Sound Barrier to save Fallen, so maybe one of those not ultimately necessary, but it is the fight win. It's another one steered clear of.
We're going down a long checklist for Cyclone Coupling here before we get to the dotted line, and they got a few more checkboxes, quite a few more to go down before they're in any sort of comfortable position. Losing a Pulse Bomb doesn't feel good.
Kim Yu-tae's not too far off an EMP, by the way, and they're going to wish they had a Sound Barrier when that comes up. But this time around, Nano Boost onto Fallen. Could be enough, but he's anti-healed, and he's low. Lee Chang-soon's down. Dead-Eye channeled that at least makes sense, if nothing else. And now Little Rex keeping the damage out. Nice hold back into the line of fire. Peace will be made by the hand of the 6th shooter as Global Esports are looking to take their quarterfinal in a clean and clear 3-0 over Cyclone Coupling to punch their ticket to the semis.
And that was now going to be the last game for Cyclone Coupling of the season. They made it to the playoffs. They made it out of relegation. They've survived yet another season. However, this is going to be a somewhat disappointing result. There's no upsets happening today. It's going to be a clean 3-0. Global Esports have seen what Cyclone Coupling have done to the likes of Talon Esports and other teams in the past where don't expect much from Cyclone Coupling. Then they come out with a bang. They just take a map away from you. Then it's 2, then it's 3, and suddenly they win the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Global Esports say, no, we're taking this one. We're going straight to semis. We're getting that rematch versus Far East Society.
And I think that's going to be a really interesting one as well against Far East Society. I sort of touched on it a little bit earlier on in the night, right? Like, these are some of the teams where we're sort of like, okay, exactly how are they going to look on 2-2-2? And I'd say that's especially true for Far East Society because they've always looked the most comfortable when they're running 3-3 compositions. Indeed, even some of their later wins that helped secure them the second place finish, a lot of it was predicated on getting favorable matchups, forcing 3-3 where possible against their opponent, and winning those really well. And when they weren't playing that, they were often losing fights. And there needs to be a big shift coming into these semifinals. I don't doubt they will have been preparing for it, but there's still a lot of questions over exactly what form they're going to be in.
Let's also remember Global Esports beat Forest Society 3-2 the last time they met in the regular season. Now, that was close. You could argue that Forest Society could have taken that. In fact, you could argue that if that happened last week, if this was a week 6 or even week 7 game, Forest Society, who definitely had a much better run towards the latter part of the tournament, would have probably have been Global Esports. There's a reason why they're number 2 in the standings and why they got an automatic berth into the semifinals in the first place. So Forest Society, as the highest seeded team, you would expect to do pretty well. But the questions you raise are also important. We haven't seen them on 2-2. We don't know what they look like. We have a much better idea of how Global Esports will play on that particular meta. Lil Rax definitely showing up today on a lot of those hit scans.
And they look good. They look good on 2-2-2. That's
Compute we knew was already pretty decent, so you know they have a lot to work with. And speaking of the semifinals,
so coming up tomorrow, we will have the perhaps title bout, maybe even of the entire season, dare I say it. It's Talon versus Nova MS, a rematch of just last week in the regular season, only this time, obviously, in 2-2-2. Following that will be Global Esports versus Far East Society, the one we've been just sort of previewing, and obviously the winner of each of those goes through to the finals.
In a way, I think this is good for Talon. It's good and bad, right? You don't want to face your toughest opponent early on in the competition. However, at the same time, because we're in a fresh meta, this is almost a good time if you are Talon, because if you are better prepared on this current patch, especially now that you've had the chance to see Nova play, Nova haven't seen you play, that's something you can work with if you're Talon. This is a good chance to take out your competition before they get better on this meta, before they improve more, because Nova, with this new roster, with the new DPSs and the new flex tank, can only get better with time. We've already seen that from last week. Okay, they looked decent versus Talon, still got 4-0'd. I feel like as we progress the weeks, you play Talon again every consecutive week, you're probably taking a map, then 2 maps, maybe then you beat Talon by the time you play them 3 times in a row. It's a big maybe, but the point is, the longer you wait, the better Nova gets. So, in a strange way, Talon playing Nova early is I would say, is somewhat of an advantage for them.
And there's also this aspect of, again, without wanting to call anything too early, but this definitely has been the reasonable opinion to hold this entire season, is like, Talon is still expected to take the whole tournament one way or another. If you're going to be able to beat Nova, if you beat them in a semi-final instead of a grand final, then you get that little bit of an easier matchup. You can always breathe a sigh of relief. You don't fully let go, but, you know, it feels a little bit safer coming into that final. You're not just going to suddenly stumble at the final hurdle, or certainly you'd feel much safer in not having that happen to you. And on the whole, we're still looking at a season where Talon is the unequivocal favorite. And that just holds true when you consider, like you said, that there is only 1 week between the last time Nova MS played them and now. And when it was a 4-0, even with the improvements to this week, you still massively favor Talon.
And we got 2 exciting matches, right? We already previewed that first one, but also Global Esports taking on Far East Society should be a banger as well, because those 2 teams we've seen kind of neck and neck. They're very similar play styles, very similar teams, and now they get to duke it out one more time, and that will be a pretty decent match. So 2 exciting semifinals to wait for. But good news, don't have to wait too long. It's all happening tomorrow. So we're going to be back straight away, same time as usual. Do not want to miss the exciting semifinals ahead. But until then, we'll see you around.